All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Big waves to you. Good to see you. I'm still nursing my voice. Arlene, I'm going to send you a book with Art Williams called Pushing Up People. Since you gave me a special push-up this morning. Just kidding. Love you, Arlene. Good to see everybody. And I do see the numbers on the Coach's Corner. And it's incredible the amount of people we're reaching, either live or through YouTube or through this live broadcast on Zoom. So keep it up. Excuse me for my cough. The word for today is awareness. And actually, Ronnie brought this to us. Thank you, Ronnie, for the word. And it was really good for me to look it up, study it, and think about it a little bit. If you look at the definition of awareness, it's knowledge or perception of a situation or fact, concern about or well-informed interest in a particular situation or development. That's the definition. Eckhart Tolle said this: awareness is the greatest agent of change. And so I looked at really, why is awareness important? Why is being aware? You pick the topic, you pick whatever it is in your life. Why is awareness important? And I first said, I believe wise people, when I read historical books, like when I read the Bible, when I read different things that I believe come from very much wisdom in people over the years, people that seek out awareness, they seek out to understand before being understood. They're patient people. So many times we become not aware of something, not because we don't want to be aware, but because we're impatient people. And we just jump before we seek to understand, or before we use patience to logically look through something. The more aware we are of ourselves, the more we understand why we do what we do. And when we're aware of ourselves, it puts us in better position to make better choices. And I'm like totally stepping on my toes, because I can be impatient. I want to be understood before I seek to understand. So all of this morning's going, boy, Brent, this is why this is a great lesson for you. Because if you were patient and more aware of things, you would make different choices. And a lot of times better choices. So awareness, so I don't beat myself up too much, awareness is the pathway to growth. A heightened awareness of our feelings allows us to take action to address underlying needs before poor choices are made. Just what I just said. So I thought about this, and I thought, like draw it into an example, Brent. Well, here's my example. Knowledge of a situation a lot of times is right in front of me. But a lot of times I don't take the time to be aware of the situation. Can any of you agree with that? Like, does that make sense to you? And you look back on it and you go, why didn't I just seek to understand? Why didn't I make myself aware? I don't know. Impatient. Maybe I want to be understood before I want to understand. I don't know. But I'll give you a great example, and it's a funny one. Have you ever been on a trip and you just didn't prepare for the weather? And you get out there and you're like freezing cold, shivering. You're like, why don't I have a jacket? Well, because you didn't take the time, Brent, to be aware of the weather. And right in front of your fingertips, was the weather pattern for the day. You know, and so here's my, I guess, my lesson for awareness for Brett Palmer today is going through life. This lesson really teaches me that when a situation comes, it could be the greatest thing in the world. But guess what? I need to be patient. I need to take time to make myself aware so that I can make the choices I need to make for myself that will be a more positive outcome. So I hope this makes sense today. Ronnie, this was your word. I hope I did it some justice. Andrea, I'll turn it to you.
Well, that was a great lesson, Coach. I gotta say that you stepped on my toes a little bit. So which is always good, right? Like, isn't that how we grow, is to get our toes stepped on and realize that there's places that we have some weaknesses. So the quote that I found was, awareness precedes choice and choice precedes results. And that's Robin Sharma. And I just thought kind of exactly what you were talking about, Coach. If we're not aware, how do we make the right choice? And I think there's just so many times that I've bebopped through my life, being completely unaware and have gone down like in the absolute wrong direction, just getting lost on the freeway, right? And so I think this was a really powerful one. So thank you so much, Ronnie, for sharing it. So, I like a good to-do list. So what I looked into was, how do we become more aware? Like, what can we do to be more aware? So first of all, and guys, none of this is rocket science, but it is a good lesson to kind of pause and work in that direction. So first of all, be observant of our surroundings and our senses. So kind of like, you walk into a room and you just I don't necessarily pay attention to anything that I don't need to see, right? So if I'm waking up in the morning and my first goal is coffee, I can step over children, right, to get myself there, because I'm not even going to notice that they're in my way. So we just have to, if we can slow down, right? Exactly. So if we can just take a moment to just try to be more aware of what's going on around us. So walk with purpose, right? So what does my body feel like? Where are the aches and pains today? Or how am I feeling, right? Pay attention to my breathing, right? Have you ever had that moment where you start paying attention to your breathing and you suddenly forget how? Am I the only one where I feel like a four-legged dog that can only run on three legs because they're just a little bit slow? But pay attention to your breathing. Pay attention to your senses. So when you're drinking that warm cup of tea, what does it smell like? How does it feel in your hands? Is it creating any steam? Like, just slow down a little bit and pay attention to pull in all of those senses. And then a big one was to eat mindfully. And guys, you know me, I'm an eater. So like, I talk about food on here a lot. And sometimes the fork is not a fork, it's a shovel. I'm just going to hurry up and get that down. So if we want to be more aware, you are worse than that anyway. But if you want to be more aware overall, try to just enjoy a meal mindfully, right? Even if it's just oatmeal, like, slow down a little bit and be more mindful while you're doing it. And then number two is to pause between activities. And again, I'm so guilty of this, where like I'm just running in 37 directions. So I, go through the kitchen, I see a couple dishes, I'm going to wash them. And then I'm going to see a towel there. I'm going to run into the laundry room, and then I'm going to, start some laundry. And then that's going to make me think about the cat. And then I'm going to run, and I'm just going to go throughout my day doing a million things and not thinking about a single one. So pause for a moment and, take a second to enjoy when the sink is empty, or appreciate that you've got plenty of food because the sink is full, right? And if, when the phone rings, we're all so trained, we got to hit that, the answer button immediately. But take a second, listen to it ring. Think about, before you look, think about who it could possibly be calling you, right? And let's get our mindset right, because we want to answer with positivity. Whatever it may be, but just take a moment to pause in between the day, because those little moments of space help us have so much more awareness. Next, listen. And Coach talked about this, but have you ever been in a conversation where you think you're there, but really you're just formulating your response, or you're working on your to-do list, or you're judging the words coming out of that person's mouth? Like, you're not actively listening to what they're sharing with you, what the words that they're blessing you with. Like, they're blessing you with their time. So let's bless them with our attention, and that's going to help us be more aware. And then number 4 is practice mindfulness. So, paying attention to the present moment, as well as our own thoughts, our own feeling. And, the first step of being aware of what's going on outside us is we've got to be aware of what's going on in here. So maybe just take some time just to hear your own thoughts. Like, this sounds so crazy, but they're flying, right? Like, I think if we're all human, I can't be the only one that has a million thoughts. Like, if you stop me and say, what are you thinking right now? I'm going to have a lot of answers for you. So maybe don't do that, but maybe I should do that, right? So just stop for a moment and just list, don't judge them. Just take a moment to list all the different stuff that's happening in there, and just to be aware of it. And then engage in activities. Number 5, engage in activities that encourage mindfulness. So think about the things that you can do in your day. Meditation. I just got charged. It can be a free app, but I have a paid version. I was really upset that I wasn't mindful enough to cancel it before they charged me. But there's an app called Headspace, and it's guided meditations. And they're like, you can make it 3 minutes. You could make it an hour. You can do anything in between, but try adding in a little bit of meditation in your day. Yoga, right? If you're not a yoga person, I'm really not a yoga person, but I did a little bit of yoga yesterday, and I just did a search on that old smart TV and said yoga for beginners. And I did a little 15-minute painful little yoga session, but it doesn't have to be painful, but just slow down, and it allows you to think and tap into your body. And then prayer. Any conversation with God is a great one, right? And to slow down and have that conversation and just be mindful of that. What are your needs? What are you grateful for? All of that can allow you to be more aware. And then lastly, number 6 is learn to live with uncertainty. And I kind of laugh at this because I hate it, right? Can be a little bit rigid. I like my certainty. I like to know that my ducks are in a row, or at least in the yard, right? So, but we have to realize that this world and everything we're doing in it is completely uncertain, right? There's some things that are certain. We know where we're going to end up, right? We know whose child we are. But a lot of our life is completely uncertain. And so mentally aware humans accept that they don't always have the answers. And just by taking that time to acknowledge that I just don't know can help me be more aware and help me get to the answer. So this was a great one, Ronnie. Thank you so much for it. I sweat a little bit. It was a hard one.
Yeah, and it was a great lesson. Stay around. Don't jump off.
Oh, yes.
We're going to give away, like, over the next, I don't know. I feel like we just need to give, right? So the next week, 2 weeks, like, bring people to this. Today, though, we're going to pick 2 winners. I've got a course that I'm going to send to 2 people from Jim Rohn. And really, it's a course on life if you really listen to it. But it is a set. It is a thing that is actually a course of hours of self-development that I will send to 2 of your homes today. So let's go with, I don't know, the word happy. Let's just be happy today. Let's be happy today. How about that? So maybe happy in the comments. We're going to find 2 people today. We're going to send this course to, Andrea. And this course is going to bless you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, who is it?
Sorry, I'm ringing like crazy. So we have Rick Redford and Anita. So those are our two winners. I hope I was supposed to do both at once.
So you're supposed to do both at once. Get your addresses to Andrea, Rick Redford. You might have listened to this already, so you could pay it forward if you do when we send it to you. So thank you guys. We love you. We appreciate you. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you back tomorrow.
Love you guys. Have a great day.
Grateful for
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Have a
guys.
word.
Thank
Thank you, Coach
you.
Grant.
You guys,
That's a
love you.
great job, Brent, Andrea.
Bye.
Our
Love
Canadian
you.